Hey everybody, James from Untype here, and today we're talking about some self-love tips for the 16 types. In this video, I'll go over some tips and tricks that can help you find self-love and acceptance. First, we have INFJs. One of the main things that INFJs can try to do is recognize their own strengths. Due to their low self-esteem, INFJs can have a hard time seeing their own positive attributes. You should also learn to try and forgive both yourself and other people. Another thing INFJs can do is distance themselves from any toxic relationships or situations so they can have time for themselves to think. You may feel your best when you set realistic goals that you can achieve without planning too far ahead in the future. Next, we have INFPs. One thing INFPs can try and do is take time to consider their own opinions. They should take some time to figure out what they value and prioritize. INFPs should also practice expressing their gratitude outwardly to others. INFPs can also benefit from learning when to be assertive and not letting anyone push them around. And finally, they can feel their best when they're not constantly comparing themselves to other people and stressing themselves out. Next, we have ENFJs. One of the main things ENFJs can try and do is write down their own thoughts. ENFJs may be so diligent and hardworking that they forget to process some of the things going on in their mind and figuring out what they really think about it. ENFJs should also make sure to prioritize their health and not burn themselves out. They can also benefit from learning when to ask for help and not being too humble. And one thing ENFJs can do is nurture positive thinking instead of being so hard on themselves. Next, we have ENFPs. One of the main things ENFPs can benefit from is taking time to finish projects. Sometimes ENFPs may rush through things or start different projects, and if they just focus and take their time on one project, they can really get it done and feel happy. Something they can also try is to do something selfless or giving for someone else and benefit from this charity. ENFPs should also focus on being organized and taking care of their duties and responsibilities. And finally, ENFPs may find they feel their best when they're prioritizing what they value and they're staying true to themselves. Next, we have INTJs. Something that an INTJ can try to do to love themselves more is to let go of any grudges they have towards anyone else. Something else they can try is any kind of introspection or meditation to figure out where they're going in their life. INTJs can also really benefit from writing down their feelings and processing what they value and feel. Finally, INTJs can really feel their best when they're getting in touch with nature and going out into the physical world. Next, we have INTPs. One of the main things INTPs can try is to do more research on the topics they're interested in. Another thing INTPs can try is to accept imperfection and not expect themselves to be perfect. INTPs can also benefit from analyzing new things and looking for new topics to think about. Another thing INTPs can do is not put too much pressure on themselves to be normal and accept who they are. Next, we have ENTJs. One thing that ENTJs can try and do is pursue a new goal. In this way, ENTJs can really challenge themselves and push themselves to their great potential. ENTJs can really benefit from knowing what they value and choosing things that aligns with these morals. ENTJs can often feel their best when they're doing something creative and artistic and they're expressing themselves in some way. Next, we have ENTPs. One thing that ENTPs can try and do is write down their progress so that they can see how far they've come. Another thing ENTPs can do is practice minimalism and not try to fill a void with pleasure, but instead be very minimalistic. Another thing ENTPs can do is find a cause to fight for so that they don't feel so hopeless. They can also find that they feel their best when they're sharing their life with others and they're not isolating themselves. Next, we have ISFJs. One thing that ISFJs can try is to learn something new. ISFJs may be so used to the past and what they've already known that they have a hard time processing new information, although this can really help them in their life. Another thing they can try is to get out there and do some exercise and not spend too much time in their comfort zone. ISFJs can also benefit from giving themselves some mercy and not being too hard on themselves. And finally, they can feel their best when they're managing their stress properly and they're not feeling overwhelmed. Next, we have ESFJs. One thing that ESFJs should try and do is set some boundaries for their life. They may be so kind that it's easy for them to be taken advantage of, and setting boundaries can really help them with this. Another thing they can try is to make sure they're taking care of themselves properly. ESFJs can really benefit from being social and giving and making sure that they're interacting with others. And one thing that can make them feel their best is if they have a defined sense of truth within themselves and if they take the time to process this. Next, we have ISTJs. One thing that ISTJs can try and do is express their love for others. They can also try finding a new cozy space, somewhere where they can work and be efficient. ISTJs should also be able to take the time and celebrate what they've done and celebrate their own accomplishments. And they may find that they feel their best when they're going out of their comfort zone and they're pushing themselves to do things that scare them. Next, we have ESTJs. One thing they can try to do is research enough so that they learn more about themselves. They really benefit from taking breaks and taking their time to get stuff done. They should also make sure they're trying to do new things and that they're not getting stuck in their own comfort zone. But really, they feel their best when they're able to live how they feel, when they're proud of who they are and who they've been. Next, we have ISFPs. One thing that ISFPs can try and do is make sure they go out of their way to hear what other people have to think. ISFPs may be so afraid of what other people think that they don't end up hearing everyone's good ideas. ISFPs can also benefit from embracing embarrassment and knowing that it's not the end of the world. And finally, they may feel their best when they appreciate what they have instead of looking on to the next thing. Next, we have ESFPs. One thing that ESFPs can try and do is be very mindful of what decisions they're making. They should also be careful not to self-loathe or self-victimize too much and instead look at what you can control. ESFPs can really benefit from esteeming themselves and going after what they want. And finally, if they're able to accept and embrace their flaws, they can use this humility to succeed at what they want. Next, we have ISTPs. One thing that ISTPs can try and do is be respectful towards themselves. You should also practice going out of your way to make someone smile and contribute to them in some positive way. And finally, you may feel your best when you're able to protect your safety so that you're able to achieve the things you want to achieve. Next, we have ESTPs. One thing that they can try and do is notice the positive outcomes in their life. They should also practice on having a healthy work-life balance and taking time off for themselves. ESTPs can really benefit from being kind to themselves as well. And finally, they may feel their best when they can finally commit to something they want and see it through to the end. So I hope this video gave you guys some tips on things you can practice in your own life, and if you enjoyed and want to join the OnType team, then you can subscribe down below. Have a great day.